Hi, my name is Bernardo Espinosa, and I was interviewed by my grandson, also named Bernardo Espinosa, as part of a school assignment. I hereby give my consent for him to use that video recording as part of his assignment.
This is Bernardo Espinosa in your 6B class, and this is the interview of my grandpa, whose name is also Bernardo Espinosa. And his interview is about where he was on the fall of the Berlin Wall, right?
Not necessarily where I was. I was just going to
Okay, yeah.
about that.
He's going to talk about the Berlin Wall and his experience in relation to it.
Okay. You don't want to restart that?
No, we're good. Go.
Okay. So the fall of the Berlin Wall was preceded by decades of political tyranny and economic backwardness across the Soviet, many of the nations in the Soviet Union. Some of the key takeaways about the fall of the Berlin Wall are that while the West enjoyed prosperity and personal freedom, the East had fallen into economic and political morass. The communist facade of power and authority cracked, and people's natural desire for freedom, dammed up for more than 40 years, burst. It collapsed because of the Reagan Doctrine, which applied economic, political, strategic pressure, including the Strategic Defense Initiative on Moscow. In essence, what Reagan did was outspend them and almost bankrupted their country. 1989 has been described as a year of miracles. It began with the dissident Czech playwright Václav Havel in jail and ended with him as the president of Czechoslovakia. A key date in the fall of the Berlin Wall was November 9th, 1989. East Germany had been experiencing massive protest from its citizens complaining about lack of freedom and lack of being able to travel to the West. As the protest grew, the government decided to open the gates and allow unlimited travel. As a result, that happened on November 9th, 1989. As a result, a tidal wave of East Germans poured across the Berlin border. For all intents and purposes, this was the fall of the Berlin Wall. The physical barrier remained for some time. Today, only small pieces of it remain. But it took months or years to actually bring down the physical barrier. There are still some parts that remain that are basically used as memorials. The Berlin Wall was part of a series of events that, in the end, brought down the Soviet Union and left Russia basically by itself. Countries like Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, Ukraine, Poland, and many others wound up basically seceding from the Soviet Union and forming their own governments and become independent states.
Okay, and a question for you. How would you say the the fall of the Berlin Wall affected any other important events to happen around the time of the fall of the Berlin Wall? As, for example, what would you say the effect of the Berlin Wall, of the fall of the Berlin Wall, was on the Cold War?
So many have said that the fall of the Berlin Wall coincided with the fall of the Iron Curtain. Again, most of the countries that I listed earlier basically left the Soviet Union and formed their own governments, and in many cases,
You're covering half your camera with your thumb. There you go.
Yeah, alliances with many of the Western governments. The fall of the Berlin Wall, for years, the United States and other countries had troops stationed in Germany as a deterrent to the Soviets coming across the border. And so a lot of that has now changed. The United States, for example, has a greatly reduced number of soldiers in Germany as the threat that they were there for in 60s, 70s, and 80s no longer exists.
And would you say there's any relation of the fall of the Berlin Wall to the Cold War?
Say that again?
Would you say there's any relation to the fall of the Berlin Wall and the Cold War?
Yes. So earlier I said that it coincided with the falling of the Iron Curtain. I misspoke. I meant to say that it signaled the end of the Cold War. The Cold War, the Iron Curtain, were in many ways synonymous.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time and your information on the fall of the Berlin Wall, and thank you for the interview.